Hi everyone, my name is Sam Milsom. I'm from Open Data Manchester. We are a not-for-profit based in the north of the UK. And we're working to create a fairer world built on responsible and intelligent data use. And we work with people, organizations and communities to help make that happen. And I'm going to talk to you today about a project we're working with in the south of Manchester in an area called Chorlton, called Our Streets Chorlton. And Our Streets Chorlton is a community-led project which aims to understand how residents can decrease their carbon emissions by reducing local and short car journeys and encouraging active travel, that sort of thing. So Our Streets Chorlton has been running since January of this year, 2021. It's been funded by the National Lotteries Community Fund, and it's made up of partners alongside Open Data Manchester, such as Walk Ride GM, Sustrans, Groundwork, the Tyndall Centre and Amity. And it involves a series of community engagement programs and activities, including school streets closures, residential streets closures, and just wider conversations and awareness raising about what people can do to reduce their carbon emissions by driving less and hopefully cycling or walking more. We knew that from the very start of the project, coming on board at the very start, we knew that data was going to be a very, very important part of the program. There's a lot of cycling infrastructure being installed in Chorlton at the moment, and people are very, very aware of how bad the traffic can get in the area. If you know Chorlton, you'll know there's quite a few main roads going towards the town centre and out again, and lots of people come there quite regularly to do their shopping, to work and to play and all sorts. So yeah, we knew that from the very, very start, alongside all the activities, we wanted to do a program of data collection. But we didn't just want to sort of parachute in and do this data collection for the project or for the residents. It was really, really important to us that the data would be collected by the residents themselves. So as part of our activity, as part of our involvement, we have been training the community to be data collectors, or as we've called them, data champions. And they've been helping us to collect data by hosting things like automatic traffic counters in their windows, by conducting roadside traffic counts, but they've also helped us just from the very, very start shape the program. This would include development and co-design of materials, exploring what sort of data, telling us what sort of data that we should be collecting and where we should be collecting it. And we also meet once a month at sort of regular data chats where we discuss and explore the data that is about them, that is about their streets that they have been collecting. So one of the ways that we've been doing this is using these automated traffic counters, which are called Telram counters. And you can go to telram.net and explore this data yourself. And they literally just sit in some of our volunteers' windows continuously, and they are counting the traffic that is on the street. And this is allowing residents to get a really good indication of what the traffic is like, what the ebbs and flows are like. We have a couple of air quality monitors that we've been using. We installed in a couple of locations to help, like, so when we did a closure on one of the school streets, we had the air quality monitor there, and we've moved one of them around a couple of times. That's all been kind of informed by what the community have told us where they would like us to monitor. And as I say, they've been really involved in the design process from the very, very start. So things like when we were conducting our roadside traffic counts, we ran a series of design workshops and feedback sessions, and the community themselves, our data champions, have really helped us to design our methods and then refine them as well as we've gone along. But we've also done this to sort of make sure, we wanted to make sure that everything we were doing was methodologically sound and demonstrable as well. So for the roadside traffic counts, we wanted to match what the Department of Transport were doing as best as possible, but whilst also, looking at other things that they might be interested in. So we do, alongside things like different types of cars and taxis and buses, we also collect things like how many wheelchair users go by, how many e-scooters go by, and that sort of thing, because these are all things that people have seen on their streets in and around Chorlton. So this was information that they wanted to collect. And so we've been able to include that kind of thing in our community data traffic counts. So we've had since January, about 50 volunteers from the community take part in the program. We've so far conducted 5 roadside traffic counts, and these are 12-hour days, 7 a.m. till 7 p.m. We have about 15 of our automated traffic counters set up, quite a small network of traffic counters around the area, and 2 air quality sensors located based on residents' input. And here's just an example of some of the data that we've been collecting. We've been able to get some really, really interesting insights as to what's going on. So what this graph is showing is the impact of what happens when Manchester United football games are on. So we took an average of the Saturdays when there's no game on, and that's that sort of purple line on the bottom there. And we were able to show that when there was a football game on with full crowds allowed back in, you can kind of see some quite pronounced peaks at certain times. So we've been able, along with the community, to kind of explore just how things like the football games affect what is going on their streets. Or in this graph, for example, shows an in-person traffic count that we conducted on a small residential street, but one which is used quite regularly as to avoid sort of main traffic lights. And the residents themselves on the streets, they tell they knew that the road was being used, but it's not, because it's such a small residential street, it's not the sort of street that would particularly be monitored for any reason. So we were able to go in and do a traffic count for the day. And what this graph shows you is just the difference in cars traveling in one direction and the other. We sort of counted twice as many southbound cars going, 4 times as many vans, all going in one direction. So, we were able to sort of collect this data and show that, yes, it is definitely being used to avoid traffic lights in a certain direction, and then go and talk to sort of, and then share this data with kind of the local community, the local activists or the local councillors as well. So a lot of this data that we've been collecting, we've been releasing via sort of we were releasing monthly data bulletins for a little while. So these just picked out highlights, and we sort of shared it in a PDF and on blogs, and it got shared with schools and so on. So any of the data that we were collecting is open data. We released it back to the community, released it back to them. You can either access the automatic data via Telram, or the air quality and the roadside traffic counts via GitHub and so on. And we just tried to find ways in which to give this data back to the community itself. Our monthly data chats have been a really good way of engaging the community and giving this data back to them. We often have a theme, and we often allows us a little bit of a casual and informal, but a bit more of a deeper dive into the data, and we can kind of ask questions and just explore it a little bit more. We've had a local councillor, Eve Holt, has been attending them. We did looking at the the carbon place-based calculator a couple of months ago, and just allowed people, looked at that and looked at what it tells us and what it doesn't tell us, and got people to explore it themselves. So our next steps really is, we're going to continue to develop the work we're doing with our Streets Chiltern. All of our materials and resources that we've been creating for this, we are going to be publishing openly as a kind of community data handbook, with the idea being that anyone, other communities, other organizations could pick this up and do a similar sort of project in their area. We're developing a school engagement program based around traffic counting and the automatic traffic counters. We're also speaking with lots of other interested communities, housing associations and local authorities who might be interested in looking at kind of creative and innovative ways of engaging the community in this sort of work. So just a few sort of final takeaways really. If you're looking at ways of engaging a community in data and data collection, really important one really is we found that it's just involving residents in the process from the very start. We asked them, what sort of data do they want, what is important and what is relevant to their situation, what can they do for themselves, and how can we help them. The important thing really is, we want to empower communities to take part, and this allows them to engage in the conversation themselves. All of this, there's a lot of data, a lot of information that is collected about us and about our streets and about where we live, and it is used to inform policy, make decisions, and it's really important that the residents and the community themselves can take part in that conversation. collaboration. And as it says at the end there, you know, it's about data being done with the community, by the community, and not necessarily done to them. So if you want to have a chat with us, want to know more about the work we're doing in South Chorlton, please do get in touch. My contact details are there, and you can get us on Twitter as well. And if you want to find out more about the R Streets Chorlton project, do go check out their website.